on. Hello, 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 my beautiful peeps. It's your awesome girl, DJ, up in the awesome lives. We about to really get deep and get some time and unwind with the soulful ambition, the poet. How are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm just happy to be here. I see you doing your thing, and I'm just excited you asked me to come on.
100%. I'm so great. I'm so thankful that we got to really meet actually through Treasure. She has those lovely meetings. Once again, like shout out to Treasure.
Every
Lou.
every Thursday, you gotta check her out.
And she be pointing you out real quick too, Evan.
She always get me. She always get me because she know I be on some shit.
So overall, I'm just so thankful and grateful that because of her open space, I was able to really interact with her and Ambition and multiple others that you soon will see on my page too, to talk about a lot of deep topics. But I chose Ambition personally because I really have connected deeply into your whole poetry and your art and your works of connecting to men and empowerment, especially in the people of color. And then there's that beautiful essence, how you take in time of really looking in depths of the inner child, especially so we really go in details about it, especially in your recent work of the revenge of foster child. I mean, I could keep on going and rambling about who you are, and trust me, I'll keep on going and talking, but I think it's best if you tell the people who the heck are you?
Well, I'm nobody. No. All right, so I'm just a kid that came from literally city of Philadelphia. I was a foster child there in North Philadelphia, and then I was foster child bouncing from home to home. And this lady from West Oak Lane portion of the city of Philadelphia took me in, and she actually moved to Jersey when I was a young boy. At the age of 10. And so I was raised in South Jersey, something called Sicklerville. For those that's in the Camden County area, what up, my suburban nights. But I was raised there, and what ended up happening was that I was bullied on both sides of the bridges, because here I am not only dealing with identity crisis as far as who is my mom, who is my family, but now I'm dealing with location crisis. Am I from Philly or am I from Jersey? And where am I exactly? I'm looking at trees. I'm looking at nice cars. I'm looking at white people. Where am I? I'm lost. And so it was really a crazy journey, trying to deal with the kids, their views on me, understanding and finding out that I was a foster child. At that time, that started to create what I am today, which is basically someone who had to speak up because the pressure of all of the bullying, the questions from the therapist, the questions from the social worker, the failure of my entire family is resting on my shoulders and my mind. And so I start to write. I really start to write how I felt, where I'm going, and really understanding who I was and trying to find myself as a person. And my mom helped that with introducing me to self-love, self-confidence, and understanding that my past is not who I am, and that she's a big believer of the things you go through make you stronger, and it makes you, it creates you, right? And so when I started learning that's when I started writing. I started rapping in my school. As I got, like 6th grade, making my little rap, 7th, 8th grade. But I was talking about foster care. I was kind of like talking about my life, talking about what people were saying about me, really documenting what was happening. And so as I got older, I still was rapping, but I had left the art alone for a long time. And then I came back as a poet, going to a venue and something saying that you're going to do poetry. And I'm like, that's not happening. I'm a rapper, and I don't think I could do poetry. I just don't think that's me.
Yeah.
And I could not go to sleep. When I tell you it was I was restless. I couldn't go to sleep. I couldn't do anything but write.
Right.
And I'm like, I don't even know how to write a poem. Like, I don't know who. At this time, I'm like, where do I even go to do a poem? Like, it's that. So, but yeah, and so I'm here today sitting with you 3 years later from the time I actually started poetry, learning that my poetry is not just for art, it's ministry, and it's driven by purpose to talk about the stories of the foster children that is untold, unspoken, and sometimes unheard. And like I was going to poetry venues in Black love, Black power, Black everything, but not really about the Black foster kids like me and the foster children among the world that was literally in those venues, but nobody's making a poem about them. And so my job was to really come in and say, I have to talk about my story and those that's like us in these neighborhoods right now. And so, yeah, that's overall, who Ambition the Poet is just a person created with, all of that combined. And now I'm here, trying to tell my story and tell the stories of those who can't speak.
100%. That's what I'm talking about. I just really enjoy that because, you hit it to this T. It's about telling your story. A lot of people, I know. Oh, there's Don. Don
on there.
Yeah, Don's there.
What up, Don?
Yo, Don. I remember one time Don was like mentioned to one time about the lack of reputation of us, and it is our job, to really show the representation of genuinely of who we are in all different forms and identification. And that's the beauty about how God really works through all of us. Hey, there we go. It's all about really actually getting into that grips and understanding that self-love, that inner person and such. And I really want to go in further depths about that. Like, what inspired you and motivated you to really look deeper inside yourself to say, yo, I gotta really speak and reach to one another. What really was your motivation and still your motivation to this day?
Yeah, it was just so at first when I was trying to do the poetry thing, I don't know what I was talking about. I was just trying to talk about science. I don't know. I was all over the place. And my nephew was like, listen, because I was like, I didn't even know that I was in the slam, to be honest with you, but I lost horribly. It was bad. People wasn't feeling me. And he's like, yo, you know what you got to do. And I'm just like, no, because I already knew what he was saying. You got to talk about your life.
Yeah.
He was like, yo, you got to talk about your pain. They want to hear your pain, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, if I do that, it's going to be people talking. You know how this goes. And he's like, listen, you could run all day. You know what you have to do.
Yeah.
I go home and I'm just like, all right. And then I do Revenge of the Foster Child, which is my staple poem. And it was like, I had to tell my truth and really not be scared to tell what it is that happened. And it was literally then that's when it changed. And the motivation came from my nephew telling me that I have no choice. And for me to sit down and say, yo, what would it make sense for me to get on these stages and not mention not one thing about foster children? It's an insult to be on big stages and not mention the foster children. That's literally 500,000 of them right now. And speaking of them, right? I can't do it. And so I would go to venues like, yo, I'm so sorry, but I gotta speak what I gotta talk about, because I would really love to do this. I used to say, I really would love to do a love poem and talk about that girl right now.
I know.
But my spirit is saying that is not what you're here to do.
Yeah.
To get to work. And so, just really understanding that I have to speak this because somebody else is not, and who else will speak about it? If I don't do a foster care poem, if I don't do a foster care poem in this venue, who's going to do one?
Exactly.
Right? Other people like, yo, if nobody's doing domestic abuse and you've been a victim and you've been a survivor, if they're not talking about it in that venue, you know what type of poem you need to do, because awareness is not just, walking down the street with a big organization or nonprofit. Awareness is you by yourself at a venue with 20 people staring at you that don't care about you, and you telling them about what happened to you. And so that's what I learned. And learning that after I started doing some of the poems, people were coming up to me and were saying, yo, I've been in foster care, I've been adopted.
Exactly.
And I would never known that had I not did that poem. And now I'm connecting with those people, and they're feeling more comfortable about telling their story. And so that's what the thing is. It's just we're unlocking people's fears. We're unlocking people's, resistance to telling the truth when it comes to things that may put your family in the dark. You know what I mean? It's not the best light, but you have to be truthful about what you are, and so that's kind of where I was going with it, and I'm happy that it's going in this direction,
Oh, I'm very grateful, and I'm thankful that you really took insight and really took to heart what your nephew said, especially. And then you also said and mentioned, like, it didn't fit with your spirit. See, that's the one true thing. When you know in your spirit, because your art and your spirit are truly, truly connected. Because you look in things truly different, you respond differently, you act upon it differently too, because you realize, and it accumulates the people to really think like, yo, you know what? I'm kind of getting a different vibe. I'm actually understanding a little bit more, like there's somebody just like me out there.
Right.
And, the spirit, spirit be knowing.
Like, yo, don't do that. Don't, you know what you need to do. You like, no, not today.
Yeah, and it's so true, because it's like I feel that same thing when I look at my artwork or any type of creativity, that just in general, if you gotta get creative, and I just look and I'm like, I'm not feeling them right now. But when I'm working on something else, it's like, wait, hold up, I'm feeling something a little bit different. Let me go a little bit deeper. And when you say that to yourself, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is what I need to be really doing. Right. It's not saying like it's not another time for the love poem, or not enough time for the family poem, or whichever poem you want to do. But when your spirit tells you, hey, this is the words I want you to say, this is what I want you to do, this is what I want you to really get to people, because your spirit knows how to really talk to the folks that really actually need to hear. Right. And that's what's really going to be bomb when you tell us what poem you're going to perform for us. So I got you on that, right?
I was like, I knew it was coming. Yeah.
You got to spit us something now. You're going to spit us something.
Yeah. You want me to do one right now or a little bit later?
I mean, either way.
We'll do one later. Either way.
It's all in what you come for. But it's just that it's just so enlightening that you really go into this whole the whole night and everything, the whole process of just really getting into it. By the way, let me actually, you know what? Let me show your Facebook and also your Instagram too, for peeps to follow you as well. Let me share that on the screen. So once again, you guys, you definitely can follow the homie right over here. It's called Ambition Poet All right, so he goes into further depths. Oh, there we go. We're live right now. As you can see, pretty much you pretty much post more so of every single thing of like new poetry lounge and open mics, any type of events that's going on through here.
That's gonna be dope. That's what me and Tori hosting that in California is gonna be amazing. That's California poets. It's just gonna be phenomenal. So I'm really excited. And so you'll see, and then that's my workshop there, guys. That's like the thing I was talking about, writing about trauma. Yes. It's time to, and last night it was really great on my page. I was going in about we can't run away from the trauma no more. We're going to talk about it. We're going to write about it, and we're not going to be afraid to speak that truth in front of whoever. Because freedom in the writing,
Yeah, and that's right, because I noticed that too. You're a very active person. If anything, every time I go on your Facebook, I see you doing something completely new and something completely different every time. And on top of that, you do lives right after.
Right.
You really going in depth of pretty much anything. I mean, this man is a busy body, but it's a great busybody because you're trying to really get connected to your peoples of, you know, bringing that awareness and that just the liveliness of your whole artwork and such. Right. And I definitely recommend you guys follow him on his Facebook, be friends with his Facebook, or even better, let me show the Instagram page too. Hold up. Show the Instagram because you do show on the Instagram as well, for the peeps.
Absolutely.
There we go. Yeah, so you definitely show it to the peeps too on your Instagram as well. And by the way, I've been seeing this fly shirt like everywhere.
Yeah,
I just want to know what's with this Ambasito.
That's Ambasito right there. Shout out to Jawaria in the comments who also is down with Team Ambasito right now.
Because you also a whole business gang going. And what's with this whole merchandise of Ambasito? Definitely tell me about this one too.
Thank you so much. Ambasito was created when you first come out as an artist. My mentor and so many people will tell you that, you know, you need merch. You know, you want to be able to sell not just your books, your art, but you want to be able to sell clothing and other things as well. And so they came to me, you know what, babe, we need to get you some merch. And I'm like, listen, I can't do the king and queen shirt. No disrespect to them. I just don't want to do that. It was a lot of that. I said, I'm going to go with a children's clothing line. And everybody was like, that's weird. Yeah. Where are we going with this? It doesn't make sense. Okay. But I know one thing, and I always tell, I'm going to tell you guys.
Go.
Yeah, that's Jawaria right there with the purple. As you can see, that's the chibi. Anybody knows anything about anime, what a chibi is? Small characters, big eyes with no nose. That's exactly what makes it a chibi. And so, guys, I really wanted to. I was going around searching about what I was going to do. I go into like children's clothing stores, and I don't see any brown characters. I don't see characters with brown faces. And of course, as Black people, we come in all, you know, pigmentations, but brownness was very important to me. And so I ended up getting in the lab. I found a designer, and she helped me. I got the vision. She creates the way I want it to look. The writing is my design. Came up with the name myself, which is basically Ambasito, which is Ito and small, and Ambit is really kind of like ambition. So it's really called Small Ambition. And so adults wanted parts of it.
Look at homie right here with the whole. Yo, he over here just flying stuff.
Yeah, that's my best friend Kurt, who helped me with the vision. Like, you sure you want to do this? And I'm like, yeah. And so the writing, the parents was like, yo, I want some. I want it for me. So I ended up making an adult line.
You got book bags, sneakers, shirts, and the whole thing. I mean, that's seriously like freaking dope too. Like, yo, this is really fire. Like, he's seriously, every single thing is legit and everything, and it's just so amazing that it just makes me excited seeing your work just like really going.
I appreciate that. The characters, the kids love them. You know, we're gonna do so much more. We really want to take it to the next level. It's gonna take some time, because what we got for, which is what a cartoon and trying to do a big display. I did a fashion show last year. It was over 250 people. It was crazy. So now we just got to figure out. And that was the first one. So now I want to do another one, but I want to take my time and make sure it's right, because the people want it. We just got to make sure that it's a good time. And so, Ambasito is really doing good. And thankful for the people like Jawaria and so many. Tori just bought some things as well. Yeah. So I'm excited to really get it, the brand in California and different markets as well.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to be copping mine soon It's just the paycheck didn't come through.
You gonna make it happen. You definitely want you in the Ambasito shirt while you doing your interview.
Do you got layaway? You know,
Absolutely.
Like I'm paying you in full. I'm not asking for no discount because that's where we go wrong. We be asking for discount. Nah, can I put it on layaway?
Absolutely.
I'm gonna pay full. You know, and I'm being real. No, I'm gonna be real on this one because we really gotta be serious on this one. Please pay in full to all businesses, including like Ambasito. Just seriously pay full because that's what keeps the business drive. That's what keeps the business going. That's what keeps the business like flow and stuff like that. I know we gotta look out for our people, but the real way we could really look out for our people and the whole thing is paying them full. You know, that's what keeps us truly legit, truly in the game, and that's what keep me like, you know, wanting to make sure like I can do even my part of helping one another in my folks in fashion. Because even too, I was like saying earlier to you before we got on this live, like, yo, I'm gonna need some little tips and some advice and some, you know, understanding of how I can really incorporate getting into the mindset. And you know, your website. What is the website? Thank you, Don.
Our website is Ambasito by Harper, all spelled out, and you'll see it on the Facebook Ambasito by Harper page.
Gotcha.
Most of the designs though are on Instagram, so I want you to really take your time and go to the Instagram feed so you can see all the different styles that people have ordered. You can't customize the characters, but you can customize the way you want them to be displayed on your shirt. What Jararia has is that's a new design where there is no characters on the front, but only the sleeves. Okay, and so sometimes this year we're coming out with just sleeve characters. There's nothing. We're not going to put it on the front. You're just going to have your writing on your front, but the characters is on the sleeves. And that purple, that's new as well. Was that technically, I call that lavender. And then down, you'll see the next one is like a baseball shirt look. Yeah, that gray. So it's gray, but then it's white on the sleeves. Most kids, they're, you know, dirty a white shirt. So I wanted to make sure that the majority was gray and that the sleeves was white. And so when you're doing clothing for children, you know, you have to be aware of, you know, some of the parents' concern. And there's a onesie with Riley there. Shout out to Red Snapper who let me let her. Yeah, that was amazing. He was in the fashion show as well, so that was dope.
I just really love it, and it's just great to see stuff like this, especially like something light and fun for kids to really enjoy themselves and really be, you know, really themselves and just express themselves, you know. And once again, ambition. I'm just so proud to see, you know, that this is just the beginning. And you can agree with me. This is just really the beginning of the whole works of your poetry, your whole rights. Because you've been in the game for. I definitely. Oh yeah. How long have you been in this?
Three and a half, going on 4, maybe 3.
See?
Yeah. In the first year, like I didn't know what I was doing. So you know, it takes time.
It takes time.
It takes time, but now we're starting to really connect with people. I think in the beginning, you know, with one thing about business and branding. Everybody doesn't know what you're trying to do in the beginning, so they're kind of looking at you like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah.
I kept coming in. Things is going to work out as long as you put in the work and ask humbly for help through the people. You know,
so that's what matters. Like, you know, you gotta ask for help and you gotta be willing to listen to other folks. You know, and once again, your spirit will tell you. Your spirit will tell you what is right, what is wrong, and the whole thing. But you still need one another to really enhance our whole industry, our whole character, just the artistry. And I just so overall, you know, I know you're gonna spit something. You're gonna give us something.
Yeah, I do my first piece. I guess I can do the stories of a foster child, and that. So basically, this poem is about therapy. When you're a foster child, you go through therapy, and I hated it because I didn't like to keep being asked about what was going on. It was bothering me. It was hard. I know it was necessary, but I wanted to give you guys some insight. Is one of the reasons why I wrote this poem. I hated foster care. It felt like an Airbnb app for the poverty kids, except for you can't give 5 stars to abusive parents. You can't give tips to a roach-infested house. And I hated my used clothes. You can still smell the 6 niggas that wore it before me. There was something about hand-me-downs. You can still feel the disappointed souls that cried on the collar. I hated my speakers. They all needed that grandma cane. I always wondered about Foot Locker, never accept Medicaid. You are now listening to the stories of a foster child. They asked me how I feel about my mother. And I used to say, life gave me an epidural in my tongue so it goes numb every time we're talking about birth in our relationship. And how am I supposed to feel about a woman that left me to die? It would look like I'm that crumpled up birth certificate you're trying to find when you finally trying to get your passport. You are now listening to the stories of a foster child. The therapist asked me how I feel about my siblings. And I would say my brother told me he had to drink out of the back of a toilet. And what black boy in America should try to quench his thirst the same place where he emptied his guts? That's yuck. I think we should shut this session down. We're starting to tap on a monster been snoozing since my childhood. Waking him up with 3 shots of espresso. Letting him snort a couple lines of pre-workout powder. And my mom, she always said there was a little boy inside of me playing with matches near his forehead. He thinks the only way he can get rid of his memories is by setting his skull on fire. You are now listening to the stories of a foster child. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, give you the vivid imagery of what it's like to sit in that chair and understanding. They're asking me questions about the different portions of my life, you know? So it was hard to even write that poem. And when I recite it, it's still, a little like...
I can feel it.
Right.
Because it just lingers.
Right.
It just lingers. And it's just the way you just started. Like, Airbnb for foster care. Like, dude. And it's not, and the beautiful part about it is that you sit us down. You set it in stone. You put it into the most, like, you put it into that moment where it's like, I'm about to get real with you.
That plain language.
That plain language.
Plain language, not too much bars, just enough. And like you said, when he talks about, I hated foster care, it felt like an Airbnb app for the poverty kids. And it talks about how I talked about in the one part where it says, you can still feel the disappointed souls that cried on the collar.
Yeah, I was about to get on that.
Yeah, if anybody shopped in, Goodwill and wore used clothes, you can smell it. And it's almost like that's why they tell you to wash the clothes and dry clean. Because the spirit of the person literally that wore it before you. And that's what made it was so vivid to me. I'm like, I got to tell people I can feel the disappointed souls that cried on the car that this belonged to somebody that was just like me, and that was Salvation Army. I never forget that.
When you really sat down and really face to face with the piece, and even still when you recite it, how do you feel? Really seeing it in depth. Like, do you feel this growth? Do you feel this bittersweetness or such?
Yeah, it feels, I do feel liberated when I do it because I used to run away from it. People used to try to make fun of me for it. They thought I was weird, because of everything that was happening to me. So now people are listening to the story that once was being made fun of. I was the person that they made fun of. And so now I'm looking back like, wow, I didn't think that the thing that I would be most ashamed of would make me what I am now. And that just goes to show you that the power is always in the destruction. It's something about the destruction that makes the power. It's almost like hand in hand. And so when I read it, and I say it, it's truth, but it's power behind it. Like, because now I'm like, so I just gave you a glimpse of what I've been through.
True.
So
Yeah.
if you think, you know what I mean, if you think comments or you think that anything you have to say now is going to be a problem, you're sadly mistaken.
Yeah.
You know, when people like us have been through a lot, we
Mhm.
are armored now. We are literally armored by our problems and the things we went through, not as a weight, but as a strengthening, you know, a strength
Yeah.
around. Yeah.
And it just makes me it makes me lost for words
Mhm.
because we need folks like you in this world. We need folks to just really get down to the realness about just this topic of foster care. There are there's kids right now, it's this day right now. We don't know what they're going through in
Right.
quarantine. Many, and we all see it on the media. They saying domestic violence is increasing, child abuse is increasing. You don't know what that individual may be really suffering with.
Right.
But people like us as artists, especially you, Ambition, you take the ambition to really actually get into that depths and that grit and be real. And that's the number one thing, is to be real. So I appreciate, I'm being real with you from the bottom of my heart. I appreciate you and I thank you for being this true being of who you are. Not just because this is who you are from your past and your such, or, you know, I applaud you for being courageous. I hate that word. Courageous for really going out.
Courageous.
You know, but it's about being beyond that. That's who I was created, but this is how I'm gonna renovate it to be.
Right. Right.
So I love it that you do describe it as this is my armor. And I want folks, you know, all people that you're watching, really get into the grips of really looking at your whole livelihood and make it that your armor. And this is his story that makes it the best way to show and illustrate it that you can too do what you need to do in anything. You can be ambition as well. So now it brings me to my last question. It brings me to my last question. How do you change the world through poetry, through art, through business, through ambition? Ambition, the poet. Like, how do you do it, bro? How?
How do you change the world? You know, it's like you said, it's just changing the one person at a time. Every time I come in contact with somebody, you know what I mean? Yo, don't be afraid to talk about that trauma. It's not a weight. It's your armor. Trust me on that one. You know, oh, listen, we can't get the top, but that doesn't mean that the power is not here at the bottom. There is no difference between us and other artists except for a marketing budget, except for a networking person, except for millions of dollars to push them and put them on stage. But we are just as good. Always have been, always will be. In fact, they still our stuff from the bottom and put it in their music. Our style from the bottom and put it in their clothing. They have the power. So I tell the person that doesn't have $1 million, who doesn't have the followers, like I don't, you know, it doesn't matter. The power is still within us. So we all have to keep telling each other that we have the power here. How can we connect together? Because I can't do it by myself. Like I was on the national foster care conference I told him I can't do it by myself. I need you. And I don't necessarily care about going to the state. If we can't get the people to listen. We have to create and help the best way we can at our current state, you know? And so I just consistently tell people all the time, you're going to be better. Connect with the people. Show love. Regardless if the hate is out there, because it's ridiculous. The hate is ridiculous. But there is people that can show love, and we can find them. And connect. And then overall is the tenacity, which means I don't ever stop. Like, just don't stop. Failure and all. I got shows, workshops, 2 people, shows that were empty, crowds that never snapped, people
Mhm.
do not care about what I'm doing, and I still keep going. And it talks. I got this book my friend gave me, and it talks about that business is more so about the person being relentless more than it is about the idea, and the
Mhm.
execution is like the person that's like, I can't fail, even if the world is saying that that's what you are.
That's what
I
you
can't
are.
listen to it. And so as long as I keep giving that to the people, I'm changing people one day at a time, you know?
Exactly. And that's all it takes is the going forward, moving forward, and thinking ahead. You have to have that as your mindset. You can't quit. You just can't.
No.
It's not even in.
It's not even a talk.
It's
I
just
was
not.
telling my best friend, and he was talking. I said, "Yo," and my other friend, it's not for their kids and for them. I tell them the failure is not even we can't even talk about it. It's not happening.
It's just
Oh,
not.
it's a bad day. It is a bad day, but high standards
Yeah.
will make you so much better, even though it's hard. I was watching The Great Debaters, and Denzel was on their ass.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
You remember that? And he was like so hard. He's like,
Yep.
so let me get this right. You're making arguments without the what he was doing was sharpening them. And yes, it's very hard to be that hard on people, but to make people great, you almost have to cut in them over and over again to let them know that I'm here for you, but I'm going to make you consistently better. And that's why I do like the workshops and stuff, is because I want somebody to help me get better. You know, I want to help them get better and them to help me teach them to get better. You know, it's all a process. So, yeah.
And it's pretty much it's the same goal with me and you. This is why I do every Friday, having a whole new artist of or all forms come over here and really actually speak, because we don't give that time. It's about that time too, you know. And I'm just like I said, I'm just overwhelmed. I'm just so thankful to have you on my page. Definitely, once again, you guys, it's the Ambition, the Poet.
Hey.
Once again, you guys definitely get your awesome shirts, your merch, your everything from
Get that Ambicito
by Harper. Once again, you can go onto the Instagram right here, definitely, and it also has the link right over here that I highlighted, ambicitobyharper.com.
And there is 3 books out too. There is 3. I see Jawarius had to write a book. The book is out. There's 3 books out. From the Tongue of a Foster Child, 1, 2, and 3. But I think we're going to definitely work on a poetry motivational book, and that's going to just give you, serious bars, serious insight. So you, like you said, people need it,
Yeah, people need
it. Right now, definitely get that Ambicito so you can be part of Team Ambicito. If you have kids, I'm definitely recruiting kids for the next up and coming fashion show, the Winter Fashion Show Classic. So holla at your boy. Pay that registration fee so we can get that work. And in my fashion shows, you get to keep your shirt. You know what I mean?
There we go. So it's a
you wear it, and then I take it off for you and all that. You get to keep your shirt. Right. You get to keep your shirt, and if you clean, if it's a clean shirt, and if it's a good shirt, when you come to the next fashion show, it's free to get in. So yeah, it's Ambicito is so much of a community to keep you coming back and keep you engaged with the other kids as well.
And also, if you guys want to see more of his poetry visual lounge, or even his workshop, or even just when he pops up to do some awesome spits of laughs, you can definitely follow him, or even, become friends with him on Ambition the Poet Harper, right over here onto the Facebook too. And it's the same on his Instagram as well. So you guys know the legits. Thank you so much for your time, and I truly appreciate. Seriously, I appreciate every single thing that you do, man. And I told you, and I'm not saying this on the live, I'm saying this from the trueness of the heart. And you know it because I always point you out. Right. Even before, the first moment I met you, it was just an instant click. And it was like, wow, I genuinely respect this guy. This guy really takes the time. studies, he grabs, he wants to grow. And it's like an everyday, like when you smile, man, that chocolate smile. It just makes you so great. So I definitely advise people, please promote, please help this guy out in all forms. And just, if you just need your spirit just to be cleansed and just to be well, definitely go to Ambition the Poet. Thank you guys again for this lovely time. Once again, you guys already know we're going to love one another. We're going to hug one another virtually safely. But most importantly, we're going to do poetry together. Thank you guys so much for your time. Thank you again for your time. I love you guys. Bye.